After narrowly avoiding a few predators, Jake walks, a little stiff and disheveled, through the various unfamiliar fauna and vegetation, with nothing but an empty gun, a knife, and the clothes on his back. Eventually, Jake stumbles across a riverbank, the sounds of rushing water and trickling droplets filling the air. He sits on the ground, his back against a large rock, his head back. He groans, running a hand over his face in an attempt to stay awake, as he lets out a tired breath. "God damn," Jake mutters weakly, exhaustion evident in his voice. He lets out a low groan, his eyes darting around the forest. "Don't fall asleep, you idiot." Jake's head whips around, his eyes falling onto the tree you're hiding behind him. His body tensing slightly before he pushes himself to his feet, moving towards the tree. He reaches out, resting one hand on the trunk and taking a step closer. "I know you're there. Come out." Jake's voice is rough, weary, his gaze sharp and his body still tense as he moves closer and peers around the tree, his eyes darting across the foliage. Jake's brows furrow, his eyes narrowing as he watches the movement, his heart rate picking up. He takes a step forward, his hand gripping the gun and his pants tight. "Show yourself." His words are gruff, his patience starting to wear thin, not at all amused by the idea of someone toying with him. Jake's ears perk up at the hiss, his body immediately tensing. What the hell? He takes a hesitantly step towards the sound, his eyes searching the darkness. Jake's eyes widen as he sees you step out into the open, his breath catching in his throat. His gaze falls onto the arrow in your hand and he raises his own hands in defense, his heart pounding in his chest. Whoa, easy. His eyes dart between the arrow and your face, his heart racing as he takes a slow step back, his hand still in the air. Hey, I don't mean any harm. Just please, put the arrow down. Jake follows your every move, his eyes tracking your footsteps as you circle him like a shark circling its prey. His mind races, trying to figure out what to do. "Look, I'm not gonna hurt you. Just, please drop the arrow." He tries to sound calming, but he can't hide the slight sense of panic in his voice. Jake lets out a sigh of relief, his shoulders relaxing slightly as you lower your arrow. "I'm Jake." Jake lets out a shaky breath, trying to remain calm as you circle him, your eyes roaming over his body with curiosity. His eyes never leave you, and he has to admit, despite the circumstances, you are oddly beautiful. Can you please stop circling me?" Jake's eyes widen, his breath catching in his throat as your hand touches tail, causing him to shiver involuntarily. His heart races, his face flushing a light shade of pink from the unexpected contact. He clears his throat before replying in a somewhat flustered voice. I'm wearing, clothes." Jake's confusion and unease mix with a twinge of defensiveness at your question. "Sky people?" He questions your term, before realizing you are talking about the clothes the RDA provided him with. He takes another step back, his stance straightening defensively. "It's the only clothes I have." Jake flinches as you touch his face, his cheeks heating up at the feeling of your soft touch. He swallows hard, trying to compose himself as he responds to you. "I'm the strange one, huh? You are the one creeping around in the shadows." Jake grimaces as his stomach grumbles loudly, embarrassment crossing his face. He lets out an awkward chuckle, his hand moving to rub the back of his neck. Yeah, haven't eaten in a while." Jake hesitates for a moment, his eyes watching as you walk away before he decides to follow you, his footsteps quieter on the forest floor. "Where are we going?" He whispers back, curiosity getting the better of him. He rolls his eyes at your sarcasm, though he does find himself amused by your personality. "Well, yeah, I could eat a whole damn horse right now." Jake panics for a moment, realizing his slip up. He quickly covers his tracks, forcing a laugh. Yeah, a big-ass, animal. Never mind that. So, what do you have in mind for food? Jake's curiosity peaks, his gaze flickering about as he follows you, taking in the unfamiliar surroundings. You know, you never told me your name, he says curiously. Jake looks surprised as you finally give a name, his head turning towards you. Neytiri. He repeats the name, finding the sound of it beautiful. He clears his throat before speaking again. It's nice, meeting you, Neytiri. Jake follows you, his gaze falling on the fruit tree, his mouth watering at the sight of the food. His stomach growls again, reminding him how hungry he is. You can eat that? He asks curiously, eyeing the fruit. Jake watches you reach for the fruit, his curiosity growing. He takes a step closer. Spartan fruit, huh? Never had one of those before, he says, watching you closely. Jake feels something land on his shoulder, his eyes widening in surprise as he sees the wood sprite. What the? He jumps back. Jake's eyes dart around, watching the wood sprites fluttering around him, a mix of confusion and surprise on his face. Neytiri? Is this normal? His voice a little panicked as he tries to stay still, but his instincts are screaming at him to swat them away. His heart pounding as he tries to make sense of what's happening. What are these things? Jake listens intently as you explain, his confusion slowly giving way to awe and curiosity. Ato Kirina. He repeats the name, his eyes still watching the wood sprites as they flutter about him. So, they're kind of like signs from Ewa? He asks, still trying to wrap his head around the concept, his eyes flickering between you and the wood sprites. Jake's brows furrow as he looks down at the wood sprites, his confusion growing as he notices that they seem to be swirling around him in particular, completely enamored. They, like me? Why? He looks between the wood sprites and you, his eyes filled with puzzlement as he reaches a hand out toward them. They're sensing me. Jake's hand stops in midair, hovering just above the wood sprites as he continues to watch the swirling creatures in awe and disbelief. I don't understand, he muttered, his voice almost a whisper as he tries to process what's happening. Jake takes the fruit from you, his fingers grazing against yours, sending a small shiver through him. He stares blankly at the fruit for a moment, then looks back up at you, his expression bewildered but curious. Special, he repeats, his voice cracking slightly as he tries to grasp at the meaning. He pauses for a moment before mumbling, I'm not anything special. Jake's eyes follow the fruit as you bring it closer to his mouth, his lips parting slightly as he hesitates for a moment. He glances at you, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes, before taking a small bite of the fruit. His eyes widen as the sweet, juicy taste fills his mouth, a small sigh escaping his lips. Oh my God. Jake quickly takes another greedy bite of the fruit, a mix of surprise and satisfaction on his face as he savors the taste. This is amazing, he manages to say between bites, the fruit dribbling down his chin slightly. He looks back up at you, his eyes still wide with wonder. Jake can't help but watch as you take a bite of the fruit yourself, his eyes fixated on your lips and the way they move as you eat. He swallows hard, his throat suddenly dry as he tears his gaze away, his cheeks flushed as he focuses on finishing his own fruit. And Jake finishes the last of the fruit, his face smeared with the fruit juice, before nodding eagerly. Yeah, I do, he says softly, licking his fingers, his eyes flickering over your face, studying you under the dim light of the night, his gaze soft and curious, a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. Jake can't help but gaze up in awe at the wood sprites that continue to drift and flutter around them. Their luminescence bathes the surrounding area in a soft, warm light, casting dancing shadows on the trees and plants. The sight was mesmerizing, and Jake found himself unable to tear his gaze away, completely mesmerized. Jake snaps out of his daze, the words bringing him back to the present. I don't really have anywhere to sleep, he admits, a hint of discomfort in his voice. He rubs the back of his neck awkwardly, looking around before he speaks again. I was kinda just planning on finding somewhere on the ground, I guess. Jake is taken by surprise when you hit him, a look of shock and confusion on his face. What? Ow! He exclaims, one of his hands immediately moving to rub his arm where you hit him. What was that for? He asks, his voice a mix of pain and indignation. Jake's expression softens as he realizes the concern behind your words. Hey, I can take care of myself, you know? He tries to protest, pride and stubbornness refusing to admit his own vulnerability. Jake watches you climb effortlessly up the tree, his gaze wandering across your figure as you move to climb. He follows suit, grasping onto the trunk and pulling himself up. A little awkward and ungraceful, but he manages to make his way up next to you. Jake follows you through the branches, the wood sprites around them creating a soft light. The sound of the swaying leaves and gently flowing breeze, creating a soothing atmosphere. He watches your every move, his eyes roaming across your every contour and feature as you lead him forward, his heart beating fast within his chest. Jake's gaze falls onto the hammock, a makeshift contraption that looks surprisingly comfortable. He can't help the wave of relief that washes over him, the thought of sleeping outside on the hard ground not exactly appealing. Thanks for this, he says, a slightly awkward feeling taking over. He rubs the back of his neck before speaking again softly. Where are you sleeping? Jake's hand instinctually reaches out and grabs your arm, stopping you in your tracks. Wait. His grip on your arm is gentle, but firm enough to keep you from leaving. He hesitates for a moment, his mind racing, before speaking. I don't want you to go yet. Jake's eyes widen as you quickly pull your arm out of his grip, a flicker of guilt and disappointment passing through them. He takes a moment to collect his thoughts before speaking. I just wanted to, I don't know, talk some more, get to know you. His voice is somewhat hesitant, a hint of vulnerability in his tone. Jake glances over at the hammock, his mind instantly tired at the prospect of sleep. He sighs before reluctantly nodding. Yeah, I could sleep. He rubs his hand over his face, exhaustion seeping in. He looks back at you, his eyes studying you in the faint light. Will you be here when I wake up? Jake nods, a small smile tugging at the corners of his lips as he hears you say you'll check on him in the morning. Yeah, okay, that'll be nice. Jake watches as you leave, his gaze lingering on your figure until you disappear into the darkness. He takes a seat on the hammock, the soft swaying of the makeshift bed lulling him into an exhausted sleep. Despite the comfort, he can't shake the lingering thoughts of you from his mind. As the night passes by, Jake finally drifts to an uneasy sleep, the night creatures of the forest creating a symphony of sound. The night is long, and as the stars start to fade, Jake's eyes slowly blink open, his body stirring as he wakes from his sleep, his thoughts immediately wandering towards you.